Les recordamos nada más a todos que esta presentación la vamos a acabar. Y bueno, sin mayor preámbulo, muy buenas tardes a todos y todas y bienvenidos. Empezamos con simplemente algunos anuncios. Good afternoon and welcome. We begin with some announcements. Todos los participantes serán colocados en silencio al entrar hasta el final de las presentaciones de todos los panelistas. All participants will be muted as they enter the meeting. Y bueno, igualmente recordatorio a los panelistas que en el momento de sus presentaciones individuales, por favor, vuelva a encender su micrófono personal. A reminder to all our panelists to unmute themselves as they begin. Los comentarios y preguntas que quieran hacer son bienvenidos a través del Facebook Live que vamos a abrir a continuación o la misma conferencia de Zoom. So all questions are welcome through the chat feature in Zoom and through Facebook Live. Las preguntas se guardarán hasta que todos los panelistas sean escuchados y hasta el final habrá un pequeño periodo de preguntas y respuestas. All questions will be added to a list and answered during the Q&A session, basically. Entonces, pues ya, ahora sí que sin mayor preámbulos, el Congreso Hispano-Canadiense y el Consulado de Ecuador de Toronto le dan la bienvenida a la 10ª Conferencia PRO-EMPODERAMIENTO de la Mujer, Igualdad de Género, ahora para un mañana sostenible.
My name is Monique Forster, and I am the president of the Canadian Hispanic Congress. It is my pleasure to introduce you to our team. I will begin with Elvira Sanchez de Malitsky, founding president, Eldy Ampuero, past president, Ron Gillis, treasurer, Vicky Chepari, director of arts and culture, Rosario Gomez, co-director of education, Cecilia Jaramillo, director of health, Cata Mayorga, director of women's affairs, Maria Lorena Núñez, director of sustainable development, Alex Oberto, director of LGBTQ affairs, Alfredo Tinajero, director of research and development. I also want to introduce our team from Universidad Iberoamericana de México, and they are Sofía Munguía, Marco Gómez, Bernardo García Ramos, Samantha Beristain, and Darío Cisneros.
Y bueno, entonces con mucho gusto recibimos a la señora Monique Forster, presidenta del Congreso Hispano-Canadiense. Por favor, Monique.
Muy buenas tardes a todos. Empiezo con el reconocimiento de la tierra. We must acknowledge our debt and gratitude to those who were here before us and recognize our responsibility as guests to respect, honor, and imitate the intimate relationship Indigenous peoples have with the land. Muchas gracias, Bernardo. Un gran saludo para... Perdón. ¿Sí? ¿Todo bien? Bueno, muchas gracias a Bernardo y un gran saludo para todas las personas que nos acompañan hoy. Un saludo especial para nuestros amigos de la prensa en español. Un saludo especial también para nuestras panelistas, la señora Julie Zerovich, miembro del Parlamento canadiense, el señor Eddie Montalbán, cónsul general del Ecuador en Toronto, la señora Fabiola Sicard y la señora Isabel Inclán. Un saludo cariñoso para mi compañera Elvira Sánchez de Malitsky y todos mis compañeros del Congreso Hispano-Canadiense aquí presentes. Y en especial para Bernardo García Ramos, nuestro anfitrión, como también para Sofía Munguía. En esta 10ª conferencia PRO-EMPODERAMIENTO de la Mujer, Igualdad de Género hoy para un mañana sostenible, quiero compartir mi preocupación acerca de la situación de la mujer desde una perspectiva más global. Sin duda, debemos reflexionar y valorar el progreso en la situación de la mujer resultante de la lucha decidida y del esfuerzo de las mujeres y hombres de las generaciones anteriores a la nuestra. La situación actual de la mujer ha mejorado, desde luego, pero en algunos lugares mucho menos que en otros. 27 años después de la Convención Internacional de Belém do Pará, que buscaba combatir el gravísimo problema de violencia de género, donde los estados que tomaron parte convinieron adoptar en forma progresiva medidas específicas para fomentar el conocimiento y la observancia del derecho de la mujer a una vida libre de violencia y el derecho de la mujer a que se respeten y protejan sus derechos humanos. El problema de la violencia de género en los países firmantes del acuerdo no ha cambiado de manera sustantiva. Sin duda, ha habido ciertas mejoras para la mujer que a su vez han generado mejoras en la vida de sus hijos y de sus familias. Lo importante es no dejarnos amortiguar por esos cambios. Hay mucho trabajo que queda por hacer. Debemos ser conscientes de la necesidad de un esfuerzo colectivo de hombres y mujeres, de retomar todas las oportunidades de recrear, construir y avanzar el plan hacia un mundo mejor para todas y todos. Hay necesidad de una agenda clara de paridad, igualdad de género y diversidad. Claramente, hay necesidad de un cambio radical. La reconstrucción empieza desde arriba. Debe existir un consenso acerca de la necesidad de cada país de tener una constitución redactada desde la perspectiva de género para ser relevante a las necesidades de paridad, igualdad de género y diversidad. Las mujeres conforman la mitad de la población mundial. Sin embargo, la distribución de poder, de riqueza y de tiempo no están divididos de la misma manera para las mujeres que para el otro 50% de la población. Esto confirma la necesidad de establecer políticas éticas, medidas jurídicas y acciones afirmativas que nos encaminen a la distribución equitativa de recursos y el equilibrio y corresponsabilidad. Un buen gobierno solamente es posible con la perspectiva de género, donde se empiece por respetar y apreciar el trabajo no remunerado de la mujer, como de los cuidados de sus hijos, su familia y de personas con discapacidades. A warm welcome to everyone joining us today. A special welcome to our friends from the Spanish language press. Welcome also to our panelists, Ms. Julie Zarovich, member of the Canadian Parliament, Mr. Eddie Montalban, Consul General of Ecuador in Toronto, Ms. Fabiola Sicard, and Ms. Isabel Inclán. Greetings also to my colleague Elvira Sanchez de Malitsky and all my colleagues of the Canadian Hispanic Congress present here today, and especially to Bernardo Garcia Ramos, our host, as well as Sofia Munguia. In this, our 10th conference for empowerment of women, gender equality today for a sustainable tomorrow, I would like to share my concern about the situation of women from a more global perspective. Undoubtedly, we must reflect and value the progress resulting from the determined struggle and effort of women and men of generations before us. The current situation of women has certainly improved, but in some places much less than in others. 27 years ago, the International Convention of Belém do Pará, which sought to combat the very serious problem of gender violence, where the countries in attendance agreed to adopt progressively specific measures to promote awareness and observance of the right of women to a life free of violence and the right of women to have their human rights respected and protected. The problem of violence against women and girls in the countries that signed the agreement has not changed in a substantive way. Undoubtedly, there have been certain improvements for women, which in turn have generated improvements in their lives for their children and their families. The important thing is not to allow ourselves to be numbed by these changes. There's much work to be done. We must remain aware of the need for a collective effort by men and women to make use of every opportunity to recreate, build, and advance the plan for a better world for all. There is a need for a clear agenda of parity, gender equality, and diversity. The time for token changes has come and gone. There's a need for radical change. Rebuilding starts at the top. There must be a consensus on the need for countries to have a constitution drafted from a gender perspective, for it to be responsive and relevant to the needs for parity, gender equality, and diversity. Women make up about half of the world's population, yet the distribution of power, wealth, and time are not divided equally for women and for the other 50% of the population. This reality reconfirms the need to establish ethical policies, legal measures, and affirmative actions that will lead to equitable distribution of resources, balance, and co-responsibility. Good governance is only possible with a gender perspective where women's unpaid work, such as caring for the children, family, and people with disabilities, begins to be considered, respected, appreciated, and rewarded. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Monique. Muchísimas gracias por tus palabras y ahora vamos a tener el honor de escuchar el mensaje de bienvenida del señor Eddie Montalbán, consultor general del Ecuador en Toronto. Por favor, Eddie.
Muchas gracias, estimado Bernardo. Apreciada Monique Forster, presidenta del Congreso Hispano-Canadiense, señora Elvira Sánchez de Malik, presidenta fundadora del Congreso Hispano-Canadiense, distinguidas panelistas, queridos amigos que nos acompañan y que están enlazados a través de las redes. Constituye un verdadero privilegio y un honor poder participar en esta 10ª conferencia PRO-EMPODERAMIENTO de la mujer, con el lema Igualdad de género hoy para un mañana sostenible. Digo un privilegio por cuanto es solamente en este espacio que se ha constituido ya en un espacio, en una llama viviente, pues cada año es posible que las mujeres nos hagan recordar a cada momento que todavía la lucha por conseguir la igualdad de género como un derecho fundamental no ha terminado, que todavía es necesario seguir concientizando a la población para conseguir esa igualdad de derechos, para entender que la igualdad es progreso para todos. Reitero mi felicitación a cada uno de ustedes, como parte del Congreso Hispano-Canadiense, por mantener viva esa llama, por mantener viva ese espíritu de lucha, porque solo así conseguiremos que el mundo entero tome conciencia de la realidad y poder revertir esa situación que en el momento nos agobia a todos. Es impresionante poder observar que a pesar de la lucha que ha venido manteniéndose durante décadas por conseguir igualdad de derechos, por hablar de desarrollo en el que incluya una verdadera igualdad entre hombres y mujeres, aún no se ha conseguido realmente lograr a través de las políticas públicas que esto se considere como una imperiosa necesidad. Digo lamentable porque la realidad es lo que nos muestra y constatamos cada día que eso, en lugar de generar progreso, retrocesa a la sociedad en general. El poder comparar el trabajo de la mujer con y la contribución que hace ella para revertir las cuestiones del cambio climático, para lograr un desarrollo sostenible, es evidente, porque estamos seguros que las mujeres, con esa conciencia de igualdad que tienen, podrán lograr efectivamente instaurar políticas que puedan mitigar en algo estas consecuencias globales del cambio climático. Mi saludo para cada uno de ustedes y reitero mi felicitación y mis deseos de éxito en el futuro para que esta llama siga viviente, siga viva y se fortalezca cada año con su presencia. Qué suerte tengo de considerarme su amigo, de mujeres que con su trabajo diario, con su lucha permanente, nos hacen ver que es posible conseguir un mundo más justo, más solidario, más humano. Aprovecho esta ocasión también para extender un saludo afectuoso y caluroso de parte del señor embajador Diego Estés, quien permanentemente nos acompaña y está presente y con ustedes permanentemente apoyando el trabajo que realizan. Muchas gracias y muchos éxitos el día de hoy.
Muchísimas gracias, señor Eddie. Creo que sus palabras nos hacen a todos reflexionar un poco. Y bueno, ahora tenemos unas palabras conmemorativas de la fecha por parte de la señora Elvira Sánchez de Malitsky, presidenta fundadora del Congreso Hispano-Canadiense. Por favor, Elvira.
Muchísimas gracias. Para mí es muy emocionante participar en esta conferencia. Como dice, la 10ª conferencia. 10 conferencias es bastante y algo que celebramos. Pero 10ª conferencia ¿de qué? Pro-empoderamiento de la mujer. Porque hablamos de toda la desigualdad que hay, de todos los problemas que tenemos, pero el enfoque de esta conferencia siempre ha sido con la idea de pro-empoderamiento es poder entregar algunas herramientas, algunas sugerencias que nos puedan ayudar a nosotros como mujeres, como madres de familia, como inversionistas, trabajadoras, tener esas herramientas que nos ayuden a mejorar nuestra situación y de las personas que nosotros queremos y de todas las mujeres en general. Entonces, solamente la idea de lo que hace esta conferencia, el valor de las conferencias por empoderamiento de la mujer es algo que vale la pena aplaudir y apoyar y hacerlo conjuntamente entre el Congreso Hispano-Canadiense, el Consulado del Ecuador, siempre con el apoyo de la Embajada del Ecuador, con miembros de nuestra comunidad que son excelentes panelistas como las que tenemos hoy día. Y, por ejemplo, hay cosas que parecen mínimas, pero, por ejemplo, la campaña antes de esta conferencia, que fue la Beat the Bias, repudio a las injusticias que afectan a la mujer. Solamente una foto así, diciendo repudiamos las injusticias, habla muchísimo. Y esta conferencia, que es el tema Igualdad de género ahora para un mañana sostenible, nuevamente nos hace recordar que tenemos que avanzar y lo estamos haciendo. Y para esto se le agradece muchísimo al Congreso Hispano-Canadiense, Mónica, todos los directores, todo el equipo. Y adelante, porque esto es algo que vale la pena apoyar. Escuchemos, tenemos mucho que aprender y siempre adelante, como decimos. Gracias.
No, muchísimas gracias a ti. Creo que va a valer la pena recordar tus palabras a lo largo de toda la presentación. Y bueno, sin mayor preámbulos, vamos a dar a conocer a nuestra primera panelista. Now it is my great honor to introduce our first panelist, Member of Parliament, Mrs. Julie Zerovich. So please first allow me to introduce herself.
Okay. Hola, buenas tardes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm gonna briefly just make a quick introduction about you.
Oh, okay, sure. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. So Julie Zerovich is the first female member of parliament to represent the riding of Davenport in downtown Toronto, having first been elected in 2015 and re-elected in 2019 and 2021. She currently sits on the House of Common Finance Committee. She's also the chair of the National Immigration and Refugee Caucus, the vice chair of the Canadian section of Parl Americas. Julie also serves as a chair or co-chair on various parliamentary friendship groups and is the current vice chair of the NATO Parliamentary Association. A strong feminist, Julie likes to not only be a strong voice and advocate, but also likes to get things done. Prior to becoming a member of parliament, Julie spent more than 20 years in increasingly senior level positions in banking and biotechnology. Thank you very much. Now, Julie, please.
Ok, pues buenas tardes. Gracias por invitarme a hablar con ustedes esta tarde. Es un placer para mí estar aquí. Me siento muy honrada por el trabajo del Congreso Hispano-Canadiense y estoy muy agradecida de que hagan de la celebración de las mujeres una prioridad. I'm always grateful every single year that the Canadian Hispanic Congress makes celebrating women, celebrating International Women's Day a big priority, and I always make sure to attend the session. And it's nice to see so many friendly faces. I'm not going to give a formal speech because I've done that in the past. And I always find it's more effective if I maybe just go through the questions. And I'm hoping that if people have some questions for me, that I'd be able to engage in a Q&A if that's at all possible. I want to talk a little bit. I will talk a couple of sentences about me. My bio is excellent, although yesterday I will say I was elected as the president of the Canadian NATO Parliamentary Association, and at a time where our geopolitics is in crisis, is in changing quite a bit. I wanted to make sure that I lent my voice and my perspectives and the Canadian perspective to the international stage on how it is that we proceed moving forward, because there's been quite a disruption in our global world order at the moment. So for me, I am the first female member of parliament for the riding of Davenport. I'm half Mexican and I'm half Ukrainian, and I'm very proud of both. I always say I'm a very proud Mexican Canadian, I'm a very proud Ukrainian Canadian, and I'm a very proud Canadian as well. What is behind me being a member of parliament is my passion to serve. There are many different ways to serve the world and the community around us. But for me, the most noble thing for me, and this has been something I have carried with me since I was a child, but the most noble way for me to serve this great country that gave both my parents a home, a new home in a safe place to be able to rebuild their lives from their respective countries. The best way for me to give back was for me to become a member of parliament. The other thing that I find remarkable about this country, and I find we speak very, very little bit about it, is as difficult as it is to start your life here, the social mobility in this country is extraordinary, which basically means that we have an outstanding chance that no matter what your background is, no matter how much money you have, no matter where you come from, who your friends are, if you work hard and take advantage of the opportunities that present themselves here in Canada, you have an outstanding chance to be able to achieve your dreams and to achieve your potential. And there's very few countries around the world that have the outstanding social mobility that we have now. And that has a lot to do with our excellent public education system and our healthcare system as well. As we talk about International Women's Day, this year's theme is Women Inspiring Women. And it honors the remarkable women and girls who inspire us to do better and be better. And there's many different examples, and I can give you lots of examples of the amazing women at the Canadian Hispanic Congress. I can talk about my colleagues. I can talk about my government and Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, who when he was elected, first elected in late 2015, the very first act that he did was to appoint a gender equal cabinet. And it was the first time that it was ever done anywhere in the world. And we now have other countries that are now following suit. We have, if you followed our trajectory over the last 6 years, and this is now my third term in government, our federal Liberal government has made gender equity, encouraging more women, not only into politics, but also in the business world and into STEM, so science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. It's been a massive priority for our government because we want to make sure that we're breaking down the barriers, we're breaking down the biases, and we're doing everything we can to create a level playing field so that everyone can achieve their potential. We're moving into the digital economy, into the knowledge economy, and so it requires the very best of each one of us for our countries to be able to succeed. The other things that I'll mention, because often people think, well, if you have a gender equity, cabinet, if you put more money into women's entrepreneurship, if you encourage more women to run for politics, that should be enough, but it isn't. We are putting a lot more money into, as I mentioned, sort of education to get more women into science, technology, engineering, maths. We're putting a lot of money, almost $1 billion, into fighting gender-based violence. There's a lot of gender-based violence against women. We're putting a lot of money into women's organizations, and we're putting a lot of money into national childcare because unless a parent doesn't have to worry about where their children is, and unless they can make sure that their kids are safe and in a place that is affordable, they are not able to fully commit themselves to their life's work or to work in general. I'm going to go through some of the questions that I was given. Women have come, have women come far enough in their pursuit of gender equality? In Canada, I think it's, since I was a kid to where we are right now, I would say it's been a sea change, and it's been a huge, huge difference. The difference is that there's no woman or there's no girl born in this country that doesn't believe that they are equal and doesn't believe that they can't do anything that a guy can't do. So we absolutely fundamentally believe that. I would say, though, we are very blessed in this country, and our Prime Minister still continues to say this: diversity is our strength. So we continue to have people from around the world that come from different countries, and many people from different countries come from very patriarchal societies. And so it takes a little longer for them to become part of our culture and for them to adapt some of the values about gender equality. And so that does take time for some of the newer cultures and the newcomers that come to our country to be able to adapt to that belief and to that principle, and to not only believing in it, but also living it every single day. So we do have some work to do. And the other thing I would say to you is, I think often we think that when we have achieved something, that that's okay, we've done it, now we can move on. But the reality is even once you win a battle, you have to continue to secure the defenses, and you have to continue to reinforce the building and to reinforce the importance of things. So even once we have, even if we get to the point where it's 100% gender equity in this country on everything, we still have to do the work to actually continue to preserve that and to continue to keep that equality. What work remains to be done? I think that bringing men on board is one of the key challenges for all of us, and I think making them part, ensuring that they continue to be champions. I think often, and I've only worked in male-dominated worlds, so I've only ever worked in the business world or in politics, and it can be very threatening for women to have equal opportunity, because one more opportunity for women is one less opportunity for men. And so unless you fundamentally believe that you have a common purpose of a better world, of a better country, of a better community, and that everybody gets the best chance to put their foot forward, an equal chance to be able to do so, and everybody's pushing for those same goals, then we're not going to achieve the gender equality and the kind of world that we want to live in. So I do believe that we have to continue to have men as champions, and on the forefront of this equality principle and goal that we have. I often say, the next thing I'd say to you, and I probably say this more to myself, whenever I feel like I'm not doing enough or I'm not achieving enough, I often think it's it's just believing in ourselves. It's often it is us that holds ourselves back. It's us that doesn't believe that we can improve or do better or be better. And I think I'm a very big believer in encouraging people to sometimes look within themselves about the things that we might be doing to ourselves to hold ourselves back. And then I'd also say, which is helping each other to succeed is really big, which is one of the many reasons that I love the Hispanic Canadian Congress. I love that there's a group that continues to champion the Hispanic community right across Canada. And I do believe that it's impossible to achieve alone. You know, you look at we just finished the Beijing Olympics, and now we're in the process of finishing the Paralympics. And there's no way that any one of them have achieved their gold medal or even achieved going to the Olympics alone. You need a community around you. You need people to support you and encourage you. And when you fall down, help you get up. And when you win, to celebrate. You need a group of people to help you succeed. And every single one of us needs to make sure we have our own advisory group or board of directors to help encourage us and to help us succeed. I think we should, I mentioned that our education is a positive. I do think, though, we need to continue to encourage education and to continue to tackle income inequality. Income inequality is something we try to work very hard on in Canada. For those who know, I'm a very big supporter of guaranteed basic income. In the world that we're moving into, the workplace has become, and the world has become, much more unpredictable and unstable. And I do believe having some sort of a guaranteed basic income is a better way for us to deliver our social welfare program and to be the core of our social welfare here in Canada. I think that having that type of stability allows us to be able to pursue more education, retrain, and pursue our dreams better. And then I think I have the next question: are women doing their part to level the playing field for themselves and other women? I think we're doing it. You know, I used to say, Madeleine Albright has this, she's a former Secretary of State for the United States. She used to say, there's a special place in hell for women who don't support other women. And so I think that we can continue to do more to help each other to succeed. It's getting better. You're starting to see a lot of this in Hollywood. You see female directors who have all female sort of writers and, you know, camera people and photographers, and a lot of the actors. There's an increase in older women continuing to be in the movies. And so you're starting to see more women step up, more female leaders step up and continue to support other women as, you know, to achieve their dreams and potential. And then my last question is, why is it so important to encourage women to go into politics, and what do women bring to the table? I was speaking to Oriana, who I want to thank her for being on with me today, and for, you know, just letting all of you know that I was being a bit delayed today. So I want to thank her for all her work and help. She's such an important part of my team. I was mentioning to her yesterday that I don't actually encourage a lot of women to go into politics. For me, you have to feel that there's something inside of you that really drives you to do something or to be something. And I feel that we all have a purpose on this earth, and you have to figure out what your purpose is. And I value someone being a teacher, someone being a scientist, someone being a community leader, as much as I value someone deciding to be a politician. To me, they are of all equal value. It has to be you that decides what it is that speaks to you and how it is that you want to contribute to the world around you. And for me, what do women bring to the table? I'll say to you, look, we have 3 female politicians here in Davenport at the municipal level, at the provincial level, and at the federal level. And women are supposed to be more collaborative and more supportive. And I would say to you, from the perspective of working on all 3 levels together, I think we have still some work to do. I do think that we overall tend to be more supportive in general, but I think in terms of joining forces to be even more powerful. I think we have some work to do. So, but you know what? A journey begins with one step, and so you have to keep on sort of moving forward and tackling the challenges genuinely and honestly, you know, that are before you in order to achieve your goals. So I think with that, I just want to say thank you again for inviting me once again to be here. I never miss you know, the opportunity to speak in front of the Hispanic Canadian Congress. The work that you do is important. You know, I'm very proud of my mom and what she has been able to achieve here in Canada. And so it's part of my contribution, you know, back to honor her work, her legacy, her sacrifices, her love for this country, that it's an honor and pleasure for me to be here this afternoon. So thank you. Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you so much, Julie. I'm pretty sure your words were of a lot of value to all of us, and hopefully we can have you again another time. So now we are going to offer a warm welcome to our second panelist, Mrs. Fabiola Sicard. And please first allow me to introduce herself. Okay. So Fabiola Sicard is a bridge builder and a strategist who has developed expertise in international trade, multicultural marketing, and business management over 20 years of professional experience. In her current role at the Ontario Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs, she serves as a bridge between Ontario-produced food, beverage, and agriculture products and business opportunities in Western US and Mexico. She joined the public service at the Ontario Ministry of Economic Development, Job Creation and Trade in 2018, where she supported small and medium-sized enterprises interested in exporting or expanding operations to Mexico and to the US aerospace sector. Fabiola spent 2 years in the consulting business and a decade at Scotiabank, where she was part of the team that defined and implemented the bank's strategy to target and serve newcomers to Canada. Fabiola has been an advocate to the Latin American community in Canada and has been involved in organizations and projects that promote diversity and inclusion. She has been a vice chair of OLA Ops, the employee network that represents the Latin community in the Ontario Public Service since April 29. Please, Fabiola.
Thank you so much. I think it's okay if I only speak in English, right? Or
yes, it's completely fine.
Okay, perfect. So what I'm going to share today is my perspective, my personal journey, and my learnings as an immigrant woman in Canada. And I mean, I was having fun thinking of what to share today and put together a collage of pictures. So I'm going to share that. I'm having trouble here sharing. So you can see the presentation, right?
No, right now no? We can't.
Okay.
There it is. Yeah, we can see it now. Thank you, Fabiola.
Okay. So I came to Toronto 20 years ago. I originally came to study English on my way to France to do an MBA, but I decided to stay here. And since I moved to Canada, I mean, I'm originally from Mexico, grew up in a classic family. And when I moved to Canada, I realized that I was Latina, right? I didn't know that because, I mean, I grew up in Mexico and I always thought of myself as Mexican. I really loved Toronto and decided to stay here and do the MBA that I was thinking of doing in France to do it here. So I moved to Toronto, did my MBA at Schulich, and then went to work for Scotiabank and did this job for immigrants, and that got me involved with the Latin community across the country. But since day one I was here, I realized that there was a lack of recognition or knowledge of the Latin community. So I've always been involved in initiatives or associations or events that promote our community. And I've always also been in men-dominated spaces. Like that was also my experience at the MBA. There were, of course, more men than women. And in there, I founded with some friends Latin Association. And as you can see the pictures here, I mean, it was only men and myself when we created that association. Also, I mean, if you are in business, as Julie mentioned, in business or politics, you will find more men. After working for Scotiabank, that gave me a lot of exposure with the community. That's why you see all these pictures at events and with a lot of people from the community. I went to do consulting on my own, and then I came to the Ontario government since 2018. And what I'm doing now is I'm part of the network of Latin professionals that work for the Ontario government. And I've also became a member of Alpha Canada, that is the chapter of Alpha US, a network of Latin professionals. So I wanted to share, so this is where I'm coming from, right? And what I've done in Canada, and that's my perspective of the background for my journey. And I wanted to share, because I totally agree with Julie, we are in an amazing country where equality and inclusion is a serious topic, and people really care, and organizations and corporations and government really make an effort so that there is equality and inclusion for everybody, for gender, races, religion, etc. But still, I love looking at this organization, Canadian Women's Foundation. I tend to go to their website, I have to be honest, once a year around Women's Day, just to look at the statistics. So even though we're in an amazing country, there's still some work to do because the salary for women is under, on average, the salary of men. We make less than 80 cents for every dollar that men make, right? And there is still a lot of work to do for women to have leadership positions in the corporate and in the public sector too. But anyway, my learnings are, and it's interesting, as I was listening to Julie, very similar to her comments. And I've had three, my takeaways mainly that I want to share today is that we should be brave and empathetic and take care of yourself. And what I mean with being brave, I think it relates to me to two things. One is, at least for me, coming from a culture where it is okay that the wife serves the husband, and where it is okay to receive comments, sexual comments. I mean, that's how I grew up. That's the reality in some places. It is difficult to recognize when that happens to you, right? Because you see it as normal. You grew up in an environment where that was normalized, right? So be brave to recognize and speak out for that, but also be brave to ask, right? I come from a place where asking for an increase in salary is it's difficult. I mean, and also talking about your skills and your abilities, it sounds sometimes like bragging. So when I say be brave, I mean be brave to stand for yourself, to ask for what you deserve, also speak out when there is something uncomfortable that is happening to you. And I have a story. Many times I've been asked if I have been a victim of harassment, right? And I said, no, I haven't. But then when you think, take the time to think and go back to your experiences, there have been situations that for another person wouldn't have been unacceptable, right? And one time, a colleague of mine was telling me, okay, tomorrow we have this meeting, important meeting for an approval. You should wear that black dress of yours so that we get the approval, right? That's not okay, right? And there are other examples like that maybe I just, at the moment, I didn't realize that that's a problem, right? And I think we need to be fully aware of what is not nice. Whatever is not nice for you, we have to speak out. You have to say, this is not nice. I don't want this, right? And career-wise, I think as an immigrant and as a woman, we will tend to have a lower salary, right? So it is important to ask for it and be stand for yourself, right? I remember once I was in a situation where colleagues of mine had the same description for the job, but they have a different title and a different salary, right? So it took me months of asking for it and giving the rationale. If someone else has the same description that I have, the same responsibilities, and I have, even in that case, I was having better results. I don't understand why I don't have the same salary and the same title, right? But it took me months. So we have to keep asking for it. And the other lesson I have is from my journey is to be empathetic. I was listening to Julie, and all the areas where there is money or budget that the government is investing against violence against women. But I think there is not enough budget or money that will help us change the situation if there is not a community behind, if we don't provide the support to other women. And many times when you are going through a difficult situation, the only thing you need is someone who could listen to you and who could tell you that you can change it, right? That you can do something about it. So being empathetic, I think, is crucial to be able to change those statistics. Because even if there are programs, for someone to go and apply for a program or get those resources, there has to be a friend or a relative that tells them that they should do that, right? So I think being empathetic is crucial to change the situation. And the last one is take care of yourself. I think, and this is totally my personal journey, but I thought it relate to what Julie was mentioning about purpose, right? I think at some point in my career, I got too busy with my job and with doing things that for the community that I kind of forgot of myself, right? And I think no one is going to take care of yourself if you don't do it, right? We have to start at home. And it is great that there are people who create organizations and who are always fighting for women or for the community or for others. But I think that caring starts at home with yourself. And that's pretty much what I had to share. I don't know if the questions are now or afterwards, but this is my journey and my learnings.
The questions are afterwards, Fabiola. Thank you so much. Okay. So thank you, Fabiola, once again. And it is now my great pleasure to introduce our third panelist, Mrs. Isabel Inclán. So first, allow me to introduce her. So, Isabel Inclán has worked as a journalist for more than 20 years in both Mexico and Canada. She began working as a foreign correspondent in Canada in 1999 for Mexican media. She has been a new Canadian media contributor since 2018. Some of her stories have been published by the Toronto Star. Her main areas of interest are politics, migration, women's affairs, community, and cultural issues. In 2015, Isabel was honored as one of the 10 most influential Hispanic Canadians. She's a master's candidate at Ryerson York University's Communication and Culture. She is the editor-in-chief at the Correo Canadiense newspaper and the host of Correo TV, member of CAJ, member of the BEMC's Advisory Committee. And, well, thank you, and please, Isabel.
Okay, muchas gracias. Thank you so much. Thanks for the invitation, and thanks for the consulate from Ecuador and the Canadian Hispanic Congress. Bueno, me dijeron que podía hacer la presentación en español y yo tengo una breve presentación en español. I am sure Julie can understand because I know you speak Spanish and you can understand Spanish, and it's a simple slide images and some text that I am sure you can do it. Julie, if not, you can ask. So I will talk about my field. What is my field? Media communication, media relation, and also journalism and social media. So what is what my point of view and what is related to the social media and the International Women's Day celebration or commemoration, and what we are doing as a users of social media. So let me start sharing my screen here. I don't know, can you see it?
Yes, we can.
Okay, let me put the big screen. Okay, I titled this is the gender equality in this digital era. And I just explain here why it is important to talk about the social media. Social media is easy to access. Social media is a fast communication. Y tenemos la ventaja de que se ha estandarizado. Muchos de nosotros usamos las mismas social media, ¿verdad? Y los mensajes se leen muy rápido, la mayoría son imágenes más que textos, y las aplicaciones son compartidas fácilmente, y lo más importante es que estamos saturados de mensajes, aunque no por ello mejor comunicados. Los mensajes que recibimos y compartimos diariamente, la gran pregunta que yo les haría a los que se encuentran ahora aquí es si estos mensajes dicen lo que pensamos y si con estos mensajes estamos cambiando algo o estamos reafirmando y reproduciendo los patrones que queremos cambiar. Elvira Sánchez lo decía al principio, el símbolo de este año, que es esta cruz con los brazos, estamos diciendo break the bias, ¿no? Que es terminar con estos prejuicios que siempre los estamos acumulando o reproduciendo, y los medios tienen una gran responsabilidad en esto. Entonces nos tendremos que preguntar si cada que compartimos este tipo de mensajes, ¿cuál es el mensaje que estamos permitiendo hacer? Entonces aquí les voy a seguir presentando unas imágenes. Para hablar un poquito del contexto de por qué se conmemora el Día Internacional de la Mujer, bueno, el 8 de marzo tiene distintos orígenes, tanto aquel incendio en el 1911, donde murieron 129 mujeres en una fábrica de Nueva York pidiendo derechos laborales, o la lucha de las mujeres en Europa, Europa del Este, Alemania, también por mejoras laborales y por derechos sociales más igualitarios con el hombre. Pero bueno, un siglo después, más que enfocarnos en de dónde viene el 8 de marzo, en fin, por qué se genera, creo que mundialmente coincidimos en que esta fecha 8 de marzo es para hablar de la igualdad de género, de la igualdad salarial, como lo han comentado las ponentes que me antecedieron, el derecho de votar y ser votadas, contra los feminicidios, este grave problema que existe en América Latina, contra el techo de cristal. Ustedes están familiarizadas, el techo de cristal es aquel techo que no le permite a una mujer subir más allá, escalar más arriba, y es invisible, no se nota, pero ahí está, y por lo tanto vemos más mujeres en los puestos, menos mujeres en puestos de dirección o en la política. Yo me di a la tarea de buscar un poco en Google algunas imágenes que se compartieron en torno al 8 de marzo. Y me encontré con estas imágenes muy bonitas, con muchas flores, con palabras que halagan, que somos casi unas divinas, que somos mujeres fuertes, pero en un sentido un poquito como cuando se aplaude el 10 de mayo. Quiero precisar que, como ustedes saben, algunos días, como el día 10 de mayo, me refiero en México, que es el Día Internacional, el Día de las Mamás, se celebra como el Valentine's Day con un fin meramente comercial. Es decir, los empresarios dijeron, necesitamos crear días para que la gente venga y consuma y regale. Y todos lo hemos hecho, así se ha hecho y así surgieron estos días. Hay otros días que se conmemora algún hecho, como el Día de los Derechos Humanos o como el Día del Recuerdo que celebramos aquí aquí en Canadá, y nadie decimos feliz Día de los Derechos Humanos, feliz Día del Holocausto, ni mandamos flores por eso. Es decir, quiero hacer la diferencia de estos dos tipos de mensajes. Aquí tengo otro ejemplo también en donde se celebra el Día de las Mujeres, como si habláramos del día de la celebración del Día de la Mamá, una celebración comercial. Entonces aquí, como ustedes pueden ver, tenemos imágenes de mujeres estilizadas, bonitas, reforzando la belleza como si solo eso fuera el mensaje que queremos emitir. Y cuando estamos hablando del contexto, por eso les puse al principio el contexto de cómo surgió este día, porque este día no corresponde a la celebración de días como el Día de San Valentín o el Día de las Madres, y que esto es es para conmemorar y para poner el punto en la llaga de lo que ha sido la desigualdad de los derechos humanos de los derechos de las mujeres por muchos años. Se han conseguido cosas, es cierto, se puede celebrar que se han conseguido cosas, pero no por ello estos mensajes, si seguimos reenviándolos, quizás estamos reforzando que las mujeres somos eso, las mujeres bellas, de rostro refinado, como las artistas, como que así debiera ser la mujer ideal. Y bueno, es lo que quizá desde mi punto de vista tendríamos que empezar a romper o por lo menos ser críticas. Esta presentación es una invitación para decirles, hay que ser críticos en lo que estamos compartiendo en redes sociales. Por ejemplo, la última imagen que está en el extremo inferior de color violeta, feliz Día de la Mujer con florecitas, bombos y platillos, como si fuera el Happy New Year. El Día de la Mujer, yo les pregunto, ¿es Happy New Year? Pues quizá no. Aquí tengo otro tipo de imágenes que encontré, que sí nos dicen que son de una forma más histórica, con rostros de la historia, con fotografías reales o con lenguajes y palabras que nos invitan a la reflexión, nos invitan a decir, bueno, si hago un forward de este post, es un forward que estoy emitiendo un contenido más social, estoy diciendo algo que podemos ver una mujer fuerte, enérgica, diciendo stop, que es lo que ya hablaban anteriormente de el problema de la violencia doméstica, por ejemplo. Quizá esta imagen en donde yo digo o pongo una mujer que dice stop, está diciendo un poquito más que una mujer tierna y bella y sonriente, insisto, es desde mi punto de vista. Aquí encontré otro post que tiene contenido, que nos dice por qué estamos celebrando este 8 de marzo, porque está el problema de los feminicidios, el problema de la violencia hacia la mujer. Cualquiera diría, bueno, pero es que el 8 de marzo yo no quiero verlo así. Ojalá que por no reproducir este tipo de contenido en redes sociales, ojalá el problema no existiera. El problema es que sigue existiendo la violencia, sigue existiendo la desigualdad, sigue existiendo este techo de cristal, siendo los feminicidios un problema más grave. Yo diría que estamos hablando de, se atenta fatalmente contra la vida de las mujeres. Otro más, por ejemplo, el ONU Mujeres, nos recuerda cuál es el tema de este año, igualdad de género hoy para un mañana sostenible. Para mí, compartir algo así donde son rostros, como ven, de mujeres comunes y corrientes, mujeres que pudiéramos ser ustedes y yo, como que es más que estos posts hechos comercialmente para generar el comercio de redes sociales y el tráfico de redes sociales para recolectar datos, para recolectar información sobre qué te gusta y qué compartes y a quién lo compartes, más que una cuestión que tiene que ver con realmente cuáles son las demandas de las mujeres. Esta otra que encontré, un poco saturada de información, pero lo que trae y pone el punto sobre qué es lo que nos preocupa. ¿Por qué el 8 de marzo en este 2022 tenemos que conmemorar? Bueno, pues porque siguen matando mujeres. El Salvador, Honduras, Guatemala, México son por lo menos los países en América Latina que representan el mayor problema de feminicidios. La Comisión Económica para América Latina, la CEPAL, dice que de cada 100 casos, por lo menos 2, los agresores son enjuiciados. Entonces, por eso es que tenemos que seguir hablando de este tema, más que celebrar, en mi punto de vista, ustedes pueden tomar su propio criterio, pero más que celebrar y mandar flores y decir feliz Día de la Mujer, todas somos lindas y divinas, es cierto, lo somos, tenemos poder, es cierto, pero yo como comunicadora estoy estudiando una maestría en Ryerson y York sobre Communication and Culture Program, y estamos viendo todo esto precisamente, cómo las redes sociales se van apropiando de la conducta y van generando un hábito digital, en donde es tan fácil recibir algo en el teléfono y lo reenvío a mis amigas. Y esto me gustó y se ve bonito y lo reenvío. Aquello es un tráfico y es la comunicación de ahora, la comunicación digital, y yo por lo menos las invito a que seamos más críticas de este contenido antes de compartirlo y quizá, ¿por qué no?, poner nuestra propia opinión. La digitalización nos está acostumbrando a compartir lo que otros ya previamente hicieron y no poner lo que nosotros pensamos. Yo estoy segura que todos ustedes, y los hombres también que nos acompañan, tienen su propia opinión respecto al 8 de marzo 2022. ¿Qué nos pueden compartir? ¿No? ¿Hacia dónde vamos? ¿Cómo sienten? ¿Qué nos falta? Creo que eso es mucho más rico que, pues bueno, reproducir algo masivamente, ¿no? Aquí puntualicé también que Canadá tiene lo suyo. Cuando hablamos de feminicidios, pues bueno, recordamos el caso de miles de mujeres indígenas asesinadas en 30 años, más de 1000 según la RCMP. Estos son las cuestiones que nos preocupan y que creo que deberían de estar en el primer lugar de cuando estamos compartiendo y hablando cada año, el 8 de marzo, del Día Internacional de la Mujer, pues bueno, hablando de este tipo de temas, ¿no? Ya para concluir, pues bueno, mi reflexión es que considero que el avance de los derechos de las mujeres atraviesa por estar mejor informadas. I think that if women and we share social media with content, with important information related to gender equality, we can advance better than just to be around with all the, let's say, sometimes garbage message that messages didn't change what we are fighting, the gender equality and all ladies, ¿no? Dentro del gran cúmulo de imágenes para compartir en redes sociales, tú tienes el poder de elegir. Entre esto, una de las tantas posts de las redes sociales, y esto, un post que informa, que provee información más verídica de qué se está tratando este tema. Finalmente, yo las invito a que pensemos bien antes de compartir, reenviar o hacer like a cualquier mensaje que tenga, que en cierta forma esté denigrando o no esté ayudando a avanzar en cuanto a los derechos de las mujeres. Pensemos, ¿este contenido está ayudando a break the bias? ¿Realmente estamos contribuyendo de alguna forma a break the bias, romper este prejuicio que hay sobre las mujeres? Si estoy mandando una imagen de mujer casi celestial y no digo nada sobre los problemas que realmente invaden a las mujeres, entonces quizá no estoy haciendo o no estoy poniendo de mi parte. Yo voy a dejarlo hasta aquí para que podamos ir con and invitation to all of you is that just think first when you receive some image, some message, and remember all those social media messages are really, they are looking for connection, data, and it's easy to share. Of course, it's easy, but what happened? Probably we don't advance too much. And in this, to prepare this presentation, I was checking all the Google images related to International Women's Day, and I found more like a pink and flowers messages that content message. And just I want to clarify, probably you can say, oh, Isabel is doing something like go to the revolution or do something like that. No, just invite to share a good content, historic content, a good data, and not share like, oh, I received this, I'm gonna share with my old contacts, and probably we don't advance too much, and we need it because, and this is the invitation, every March the 8th, if we share some good information, probably we are changing some mind of men or women related to the gender equality, to the equal salary, something like that. Members of the parliament, like Julie said always, Julie, we applaud you are there, but we know members, women of parliament are just 30.5% in parliament. So in the global ranking, Canada is in the place 59. And in the first places of gender equality in parliament are Cuba, Nicaragua, Mexico, Rwanda. So if I can put that in one post, probably I can change something, no? So I will stop here. Thanks for the invitation and the opportunity to share that. And I hope after this, we think better about what kind of content we are sharing every day, every moment in all social media. They are there, the content is there, but we have the control. With our finger, we have the control to just not reproduce that content, or pick better content that we really think that is better for women rights. Thank you so much.
No, thank you so much, Isabel. Creo que todo lo de los posts y eso habla muchísimo sobre la historia del Día de la Mujer y pues es importante mucho reflexionar sobre todo eso. Y pues bueno, ahora pasaremos ya finalmente a la sección de nuestras preguntas y respuestas. So we will now begin with our questions and answers section. So we'll begin with a question from Gabriela Merigo to Julie. So this question says, what female leader inspires you the most, Julie?
Well, thank you so much for this great question. I just wanted to say, I really enjoyed the other two panelists. I want to say that it seems like Mexican women are very powerful, particularly on this panel. So I want to highlight that. And you know, I very much appreciate the challenge that Isabel has left us with. Isabel came canvassing with me, by the way, in the last election. I think she was running after me, and I think she was saying, I don't know how you can do this, because it can be a very difficult job. It was nice to have you, Isabel, and it's nice to see you. And Fabiola, I really enjoyed your presentation. It's a beautiful story, and you've done so much, and we're blessed to have you as part of our Canadian family. Who, you know, when Nelson Mandela came to Canada over 10 years ago, he was asked the question about who are his heroes. And he said, he said that it's everybody that fights, you know, poverty or tries to make the world a better place. And to me, I really believe that. I have just as many male people that are in my mind that inspire me as females. And the ones that inspire me most have always been the people who are on the ground doing the work and loving what they do. You know, my mom worked as counter help in a donut shop most of her life. She loved her work. She for her, her family was everything. She contributed everything to us. So she's one of definitely my heroes in my life. And I'd also say people like Krista Freeland is a huge leader as well. She rides bicycles all over Toronto, you guys. She does not wait for a personal car, and she works really hard and is doing everything she can to create a better community and country and to help promote women as well. So you know, from those who are working every day at doing the things that they love, to the people who are trying to make a difference in our respective communities, to people like Christia, who are not only impacting and having huge impact in our country, but also in our world. I have women who inspire me at every level. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Now we have here another question. This is I'm pretty sure, a question for everyone. It's a question from Virna, and she asks, what can we do to support other women, to encourage them, and to boost their confidence? So anyone can answer this question.
Well, I can say that first of all is, as Fabiola mentioned, to have the empathy, to have the solidarity with her, that I understand. I understand, I am with you. Or in the case of the violence or something, harassment, we used to say, I believe you. This is the Me Too movement. So first, to create the connection with any women that is looking for that kind of support. And then provide the support, provide the programs. Canada has many programs to help women. Yesterday, I just made an interview related to it's a program in the Center for Spanish-Speaking People related to the support for the women facing domestic violence and the house for them and for the kids. So I can say just share all the programs, all the information that we have, and create a link of solidarity with that kind of women.
Bernard, can you repeat the question again?
Yes, of course, Julie. So the question was, what can we do to support other women, to encourage them, and to boost their confidence? So would you like to answer that?
Yeah, how about if we let Fabiola go next, because I've already spoken, and then I'll end off.
Yeah, we actually have a question for Fabiola, again from Gaby Mérigo.
Oh.
Esta pregunta es en español, Fabiola. ¿Cómo te han afectado los micromachismos en tu experiencia como migrante?
Bueno, como yo decía, creo que muchas veces no me he dado cuenta del machismo o de situaciones, no sé, pues no sé si han sido de abuso. Es más, me cuesta trabajo decir que he sido víctima de harassment porque, o sea, me cuesta trabajo verlo o reconocerlo. Yo creo que esa es lo más difícil, porque crecí en un lugar donde era normal. Entonces, esa es la parte que para mí es más difícil. Yo creo que ha sido más recientemente que lo he reconocido, porque antes cuando me preguntaban, yo siempre decía, no, yo jamás he sido discriminada ni como inmigrante ni como mujer. He tenido que reflexionar mucho para recordar esas situaciones.
Ok, perfecto. Ok, tenemos otra pregunta justo para ti, Fabiola. Bueno, dice de Chali. Gracias, Fabiola, por recordarnos nuestro cuidado personal. Estoy muy ocupada y me falta el tiempo. Tengo demasiadas responsabilidades caseras y de trabajo. ¿Tienes sugerencias?
Ok, no sé exactamente cómo... o sea, la pregunta es ¿cómo cuidarse cuando está uno tan ocupado?
Supongo que va por ahí, ¿no?
Ajá. Yo creo que lo más importante, como dije, independientemente de tu ocupación o si tienes hijos o tienes un trabajo, lo más importante es que tú estés bien. Si tú no estás bien, no vas a tener un buen desempeño en tu trabajo, tampoco va a estar bien tu familia. Yo creo que necesitas un momento para reconocerlo y a pesar, muchas veces el problema es que pensamos que no tenemos tiempo, pero siempre hay tiempo para cuidarse. Estuve en una conferencia de trabajo ayer o antier y había una sesión sobre wellness y de lo que hablaban era que nosotros podemos, muchas veces decimos que no tenemos tiempo para hacer actividad física y la actividad física es súper importante, especialmente ahora que pasamos tanto tiempo enfrente de una pantalla o sentados. Y nos dieron ejercicios que puedes estar haciendo sentado para ejercitar tu cuerpo, para tener algún movimiento, ¿no? Entonces yo creo que muchas veces usamos esa excusa de estar muy ocupados para no darle tiempo a lo importante y nos dedicamos a lo urgente. El problema es que eso siempre te va a llevar a un mal lugar, ¿no? O sea, lo más importante eres tú. Necesitas cuidarte. Y si tienes que quitarle tiempo a cocinar, pues encuentras una forma de ser más eficiente para cocinar. O si tienes que quitarle tiempo a, no sé, a trabajar, pues trabaja media hora menos. ¿Sí me explico? Pero sí necesitas, yo creo que si no te cuidas, siempre te va a llegar una factura en algún momento. Vas a pagar por ello. Eso puede ser con estrés, con enfermedades. Siempre llega el momento en que tu cuerpo no va a poder más o tu situación o tu estrés se va a desbordar.
Ok, perfecto. Muchísimas gracias, Fabiola, por tus respuestas. Tenemos aquí también una pregunta para Isabel. Hola, Isabel. Es de una pregunta de Melissa. Hola, Isabel. Concuerdo contigo. El Día de la Mujer no es día para felicitar, sino para apoyar a esta lucha. ¿Qué impacto crees que tengan las redes sociales que nos ayudan a concientizar sobre el tema, ayuden a las generaciones futuras?
Gracias, Melissa. Brevemente, efectivamente las redes sociales son muy importantes, son un instrumento y que depende de cada quien el uso que le vamos a dar. Como yo les mostré, puede haber un contenido, hablamos un poco favorable y un poco desfavorable en torno al Día Internacional de la Mujer, pero puede ser cualquier otra problemática. Y en nosotras y en nosotros está reproducirla o no reproducirla. Entonces nosotros tenemos el control, por eso es muy importante que seamos muy críticos de lo que nos llega, así sea de las amigas. Yo, por ejemplo, si alguna amiga me manda un tipo de mensaje en el que no coincido, no lo comparto, simplemente no digo nada, no lo comparto. Cuando puedo, comparto en lo que yo estoy de acuerdo. Entonces, sí, creo que las redes sociales son muy, muy importantes, es lo de hoy. No podemos tener una vida social quizá ya sin redes sociales, ya están aquí, pero seguimos teniendo el control como usuarios de qué es lo que se hace con estos contenidos.
Muchas gracias, Isabel. Aquí tenemos también otra pregunta. Esta es para todos en general, pero no sé si alguien la quiera contestar en específico. Los estereotipos o prejuicios afectan mucho a las mujeres, pero también como sociedad nos contaminan. ¿Cómo creen que los estereotipos y prejuicios machistas afectan a los hombres? Esta es una pregunta de Darío.
How do the stereotypes affect men as well? Is that what you ended off with? Okay.
Yeah, basically. Like well, yeah, basically.
Well, I want to actually answer a few questions at the same time, and I'll end off with that, Bernardo, and then I do have to go, by the way, if that's okay. Look, I think there was a question about how can we better help each other, and I have a two-part answer to that. It took me a long time to learn this, but unless you truly love yourself and believe in yourself, you actually can't help other people. And it sounds really hokey dokey to say it, but you will not be unless you unless you understand that you make mistakes, and this gets to the empathy and compassion, you know, unless you love yourself, even despite your weaknesses and your mistakes and your faults, unless you are able to fundamentally, foundationally sort of have that, it is very difficult to support other people. The second part of my answer is, you know, what I would call, once you enter into, whether it's any type of, you know, world, whether it is, you know, whether you're a parent and you're helping other parents, or whether you're in a business world, or whether you're in politics, you also learn that the more you help people get to where they want to go, the more it actually helps you get where you want to go as well. But you have to do it from a place of goodness. Like, don't do it. You know, there's a lot of, and this is a very natural thing, you guys, and it happens all the time in politics. Well, and I will tell you, men are masters at this, and I marvel at it. Men will say, oh, well, if you vote for me on this, I will vote for you on that. And it's very much sort of the horse trading that happens all the time. And a lot of that's necessary because it's part of the game, but make sure that it's something you believe in as well, because then it becomes much easier to support. I'll also say to you, there was some comments that I think it was Fabiola that made it, and it's stuck in my mind. Often we become, when misogyny sort of continues to exist, or when there continues to be discrimination against women, to a certain extent, if we are not understanding when we are being treated badly and call people out on it, we're actually helping to promote that misogyny and promote that, continue to promote discrimination. And we could be doing it not because we want to do it. It's just because we don't even understand sometimes that we're actually, someone's disrespecting us, or someone's not valuing us, or someone's talking down to us. And so that's why I always say, you know, if you love yourself and believe in yourself and you respect yourself, you often will catch it faster when someone is not treating you well. And so then you could call it out, because sometimes, you know, someone does something, but you kind of feel bad, but you're not able to articulate, you know, what someone did that made you feel less than who you are, less than the person, you know, that you are. You feel somehow bad about yourself. So I say to you, the more we love ourselves, the more we respect ourselves, the more we're able to identify, you know, when people aren't treating us well. But I'll also say to you, you know, there's a lot of people who don't know that they're being misogynistic or discriminatory. And it's not that they want to be. It's not that they want to be mean and awful. And they've been brought up a certain way, or they've been taught a certain way, and they don't know. And so I think with a lot of heart, we have to be able to understand that, and to let them know that why it is that what they're doing is actually contributing to pushing women down, to pushing us down individually. So having that understanding, I think, is really important. Elvira was asking in the chat about sort of programs, and a lot of people don't know existing programs. Please please make sure you're reading the program and funding section of my weekly update. And if you're not getting my weekly update, please make sure Oriana has your email. Every single week, we do everything we can to find where the money is in government, federal level, and what's available, whether it's for the environment, whether it's for gender equity, whether it's violence against women. We are doing all the work we can to make sure that we are making it very easy for organizations and individuals to know what funding what pots of money might be available. And often those programs have program managers or project managers that we could direct you to if you need some help with the application. So please make sure to apply. My weekly updates tend to be somewhere between, around 20 pages, like email pages. All you have to do is go to the table of contents, click on the resources. It's right at the very end. It's a short section. That's where you know where the money is. I'm not sure who asked about beauty pageants. I agree. I totally think we should eliminate them. It doesn't matter how beautiful we are as women, and all of us are completely beautiful. Even in my office, I'm always complaining about how old I am and how fat I am and everybody. But that is a side effect of the indoctrination that we all have literally from birth as women. And so I would favor anything that would eliminate that the value of us looking perfectly to be. And then, getting to answer your question, Bernardo, I kind of answered it sort of in a way where I said a lot of people don't understand, often that they're being discriminatory or misogynistic. I think that when there's all this machismo culture that's out there, I think what happens is it reinforces, I think, a stereotype for men and a stereotype for women. And Isabel did a beautiful job of showing how images actually impact us. And so it's the same around words as well. And I think that having these types of conversations, I think, are really important. And I think having these conversations with the boys and the men that are around us are very important at dispelling these stereotypes. Anyways, I'll stay on for a couple more minutes, but I do have to jump off. But I just want to say what an absolute pleasure it's been to be here, how inspiring I found the other two panelists, and just how remarkable I think the whole Hispanic Canadian Congress is. So please continue your work and know that I will be there every step of the way to support you in whatever way that you need.
Thank you so much, Julie, for answering all these questions. And well, we actually don't have more time for more questions. So if there were questions unanswered that someone wants to know about them a little bit more, we're going to be publishing some posts here and there on our social media that will cover them, hopefully deeply, with the responses of the panelists. ¿No? Entonces, básicamente ya se nos acabó el tiempo. Vamos a estar contestando estas preguntas en nuestras redes sociales. Y pues ya estaremos ahí subiendo, ¿no?, las respuestas y preguntas con las panelistas respectivamente. Y pues finalmente, ahora escucharemos unas palabras de agradecimiento y despedida por parte de nuestra presidenta, la señora Monique Forster. Por favor, Monique.
Sí, bueno, primeramente querría ofrecerle la palabra al señor cónsul general de Ecuador en Toronto, y después yo tomaré la palabra después.
Sí, entonces, por favor, Eddie Montalbán.
Monique, muchas gracias por tu generosidad. Simplemente quería felicitar a todos los panelistas, decirles gracias por haber compartido sus experiencias y por recordarnos, sobre todo, que la lucha no termina, que la lucha debe continuar, porque solamente así, haciendo conciencia, se puede lograr esa igualdad de género que tanto buscamos y que es beneficioso para la sociedad. Felicitaciones nuevamente y muchas gracias por haber compartido todas sus experiencias con nosotros aquí. Que tengan ustedes siempre los mejores éxitos en sus profesiones y tengan presente siempre que el consulado y la embajada estarán con ustedes apoyando este tipo de conferencias, de trabajo suyo, que buscan sobre todo generar conciencia para lograr la igualdad de género y una disminución total de la violencia. Muchas gracias, Monique, señora Elvira y todos los panelistas. Un abrazo para todos ustedes. Gracias.
Bueno, pues ahora sí, con mucho gusto, voy a tomar unos minutitos para agradecerles agradecer a todos muchísimo. Agradezco a todas las personas que se han hecho presentes hoy, a todas las personas que nos acompañan desde su casa. Muchísimas gracias, señor Eddie Montalbán, cónsul general de Ecuador. Muchísimas gracias, Julie Zirovich, miembro del Parlamento canadiense. Thank you, Ariana, for being here with us today. Gracias, Fabiola Sicard. Gracias, Isabel Inclán. Thank you for coming and adding to this important conversation. Our sincere thanks also to Bernardo Garcia Ramos. He's our host today, and our friend, Sophia, who is also behind the scenes, making sure everything is running well. Thank you for being a part of the Canadian Hispanic Congress. Thank you, Elvira, for all the work that you have done for women everywhere. Gracias a todas por acompañarnos, Sam, Soraya, Sandra, Caro, Norma Alicia, Claudia, Jacqueline, Virginia, Sam, Rosaura. Y si me olvido de alguien, 1,000,000 de disculpas, pero les agradecemos muchísimo por siempre apoyarnos y nos vemos la próxima vez. Felicidades y muchas gracias.
Gracias por la invitación. Saludos a todos y a todas.
A ustedes. Muchas gracias y nos vemos pronto.